So what is the right angle? Well, let's go back to our light bulb producers. I argued that by maximizing their profit, they might actually choose to minimize the cost of producing light bulbs. So they might find the cost-efficient durability of the light bulb. But this cost they are minimizing is their private cost. And the private cost is the cost that they bear from producing, when they are producing the light bulbs, but it doesn't take into account the cost for society of having light bulbs piling up in landfills, okay, or having to recycle those light bulbs, okay, once they are used, okay, once they have expired. So this cost, they ignore it because they don't have to bear this cost, and therefore, for that reason, even though they are minimizing the production cost, they are not minimizing the cost to society. The cost to society is bigger, and then they will tend to not choose a durability of light bulbs which is long enough, because they ignore the fact that when the light bulb is finished and cannot be used anymore, then we have to deal with it, either dispose of it in landfills or recycle it, which is costly. So this is what economists call negative externalities. Now, if you have been watching or videos on this YouTube channel, or if you are, after watching this one, you go and watch some other videos, you will see that this concept of negative externality is very central in the theory, the economic analysis of the environment. Basically, the problem is that agents such as firms and households, they make decisions in terms of production, in terms of consumption, which just balances their private benefits with their private costs, and they usually ignore or don't take into account enough, anyway, the impact they have on the environment, which is, of course, a cost somewhat on them, but it's a cost on everybody. But, of course, it's not that they don't care, but they don't have an incentive to take it into account sufficiently. And this is why we say that there is a problem of negative externality. Basically, there is a social cost of, for example, polluting, or there is a social cost of buying new clothes all the time, but we basically just ignore it. We just take into account how much we pay for the new clothes, okay, but we don't take into account the fact that once they are just worn out, we just throw them away, and this is bad for the environment. Actually, talking about clothes, the fact this problem of negative externality does not depend on firms having market power. Actually, competition might actually exacerbate this problem of negative externalities. Take the case of fast fashion. Fast fashion allows people to buy many new clothes all the time, and with different models that come out very frequently. But those clothes don't last very long. After 1 year, they are just not usable anymore, and they can't be repaired. And so fast fashion creates a lot of externality on society by creating all those wastes of clothes that people don't wear anymore. Not to mention that producing clothes actually produces a lot of pollution, but this is a different topic. So you see that in the case of fast fashion, we don't have monopoly power. There are lots of firms competing with each other, and the prices are very low. But still, the problem of generating too much waste is critical, right, for fast fashion. And actually now they are trying to introduce regulations to limit the activity of fast fashion. Well, so what should we do? It's not an easy question, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I will make a few points and explain why it's not easy, at least. For economists, the ideal tool is taxation, taxes, what we call Pigouvian taxes. In theory, this is just the ideal tool. If you set up the tax at the right level, so the idea of taxation is if you have a problem, you tax it. So if there is too much waste, then you tax waste. So basically, in this case, you tax garbage collection. Okay. If the tax is set at the right level, then this will give households and firms incentives to generate just the right level of externality. Okay. And you will have implement an ideal outcome for society, and in addition you will generate much welcome tax revenue, which then you can use to finance public services and so on. But actually, if you look at actual environmental policies, those taxes are not used very much. They are used, but not all that much. Why is that? Well, it's because politically it's quite sensitive to introduce new taxes in general, and for the environment or for something else. Basically, the question is who is paying those taxes. As soon as you introduce taxes, it means that some people who are not paying taxes before end up paying now new taxes, so they don't like it. And then the other issue is if you have new taxes, you generate tax revenue, and then there is a debate as to what do we do with this tax revenue? Who benefits from this tax revenue? Should we just, how do we spend it, or do we use it to cut taxes somewhere else? So maybe we tax firms that pollute, and then we cut taxes on consumers, say, by cutting VAT, for instance. Okay. So these are decisions that could be actually quite beneficial to society. Okay, to change the tax system and to introduce a lot of environmental taxation, but obviously it is not. It is a sort of a hard sell for politicians. Okay, it is very difficult for them to come, to come and say, I want to increase taxes. No matter what taxes you want to increase, people don't like it. Now, even if there is some political will to actually implement those environmental taxes, one difficult issue is what to tax. Now, if we want to reduce the amount of waste, if we think there is too much waste generated by our consumption and production, we should just tax waste, meaning, as I said before, tax garbage collection. Now, if you tax garbage collection, you might have pretty quickly a problem that you will give the wrong incentives to households in terms of what to do with their obsolete products. Product that they want to get rid of. So think again of my washing machine. Suppose I'm told that actually I can recycle it if I get it collected by the city's services, but then when they collect it, they will tax me. If this tax is too high, many people will have a temptation to just take their washing machine, put it somewhere on the side of the street and run away, okay, so that they don't have to pay the tax. And you will have illegal waste dumping everywhere because people don't want to pay the tax. This is something that has been observed when some municipalities have tried to introduce taxation on based on the quantity of waste you generate. So it's not easy. It doesn't mean it shouldn't be done, but there are some problems, some difficulties. So if we don't do taxation, because maybe politicians don't want to, because it's complicated to get people to agree to it politically, what else could we do? We could use regulation. It's an alternative. It's not as perfect. It does not generate any money. It actually costs money usually to regulate. But it's useful. Now again, what should we regulate? How should we regulate? This is not completely trivial. So we have seen recently regulations, for instance, that force producers to create products that can be repaired, okay, that repairability, so there are some requirements about the repairability of products that are introduced in the legislations, and this seems like a good thing. However, the repair market is well known for being a market that's marred with asymmetric information. It's a bit like the used product market, the used car market. That's a famous thing in economics, that actually the used car market works very inefficiently, because when you buy a used car, you don't really know what you are buying. Well, when you take your car to the repair shop and trying to get it repaired, you don't really know what you are buying either, because you don't know what the mechanics is going to do with your car, right? And there are many famous cases where people have been charged for repairs that were not really needed. And so this creates a difficulty with repair markets. So of course, for a car, which is a big item, which has a lot of value, which potentially can last a long time, it's worth setting up a repair market, but is it worth setting up a repair market for smartphones? Well, there is one which is good, but it's not so easy. If you take your smartphone somewhere and they say they are going to repair it, they can't charge you too much money for it, because you are worried that they give it back to you and a month later it doesn't work again. Okay, and there is no way for you to to make sure that they have actually done what they were supposed to do, right? So yes, repair is a good idea, but not so easy to implement. And even some very nice ideas like the USB-C standard for charging smartphones, or smart charging, actually mobile phones in general. So this seemed like a great idea, so that people don't have to get a new charger every time they get a new phone, because it's always the same charger. And well, there are other reasons for implementing this regulation, but one reason is indeed to avoid some sort of planned obsolescence of chargers that would change all the time. And then if you want to switch to a different brand, you have to switch to a different type, to a different model of charger. So that was very inefficient. So it's a nice regulation, it seems. But actually, you could criticize it, and it has been criticized, of course, by some of the smartphone producers, because it sort of limits innovation. Because if you want to come up with some new way of charging a phone which goes much, much, much faster than the previous one, and then maybe it's not compatible with the old technology, and then how will you introduce it in the market if regulation says that there's just one technology that can be used? So it might be argued that even though this regulation seems like a very nice, and actually I think it's a very nice regulation, but it might be argued that actually it limits innovation. So thinking about regulation is complex, very technical, still worth exploring, because again, we don't have the option of taxing everything, so might as well try to regulate. Finally, and this will be my conclusion, if you are watching this video, it's probably that you are truly worried about what can be done to protect the environment and to make sure that we don't generate all this waste, that we don't waste so much, so many resources in producing so much and consuming so much. And probably you are willing to help, and you are willing to buy a product if you are told that this product lasts longer, and maybe pay an extra amount of money. You are willing to, whenever your product breaks down, so your computer breaks down, instead of throwing it away and buying a new one, you are willing to explore the possibility of finding an appropriate repair shop that will take care of it, but you need help to do that. You need help in particular in terms of information. I've already said that repair is complicated, and making sure that actually your computer is properly repaired is not a trivial thing. So we need to make sure that consumers are properly informed. We need some norms, we need some standards, some certifications, and make sure that when producers communicate, because now more and more, of course, you see ads that tell you, okay, no, I make this product that lasts longer than the previous ones, and you know, what's behind those claims? Are they reliable? Should we believe in them? So this is something where the government can really play a role in monitoring the communication of firms, monitoring what's in the ads, proposing some publicly generated communication, subsidizing maybe some not-for-profit organizations, although you have to make sure that they actually provide reliable information and so on. So this is one direction where the government can help us basically contribute to limit the problem of excessive waste by buying products that are more durable, getting them repaired, buying used products and so on. So this can be done by just improving consumer information. And thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed, and don't hesitate to contact me with questions, criticisms you might have about my presentation.